Marriage is slavery. I don't need a man. I can do bad all by myself. There are no real benefits to being married. I can stay in my peace. Been there, done that. It's not worth it. And the beat goes on. Here's the thing. I'm just repeating all of what I hear and what we all are hearing in social media, in these internet streets about marriage and all the negative rhetoric that continues to be perpetuated. And here's the thing, people have a right to live the life that they want to live. Agreed? They have the right not to want to be married. They have the right to feel that there are no real benefits in being married. However, the problem comes in when you're telling other people not to get married. When people are using their life experience to spew out negativity about the institution of marriage and all the things that they find wrong, and they project that out on a general audience. All right. And I say this especially as it relates to our community. As far as I am concerned, this is the last divisive talk that we need to hear in our ear constantly. Don't get married. There are no benefits. Men this, women that, all of this going back and forth instead of working to find common ground. In my experience and being in a relationship talk circles and in social media circles, I don't see this going on in any other community. And I say this often because it's still true. And so far, no one has proved me wrong. I haven't been sent a clip or any type of anything showing where other races or community are spewing out this negative rhetoric, this divisive talk about marriage and each other. Again, if someone chooses to remain alone or to be in a situationship or to have the transactional goings on, that's their business. However, it's beyond me that this lifestyle choice is being pushed, especially in our community, and it's so prominent and it's constant, just in the ear of our people. Why is this? And it's a rhetorical question because anybody who has any foresight or understands history, I'm sure you can answer that. Many of us, myself included, we have chosen to stick with love. We've chosen to stick with marriage and family, even using the word traditional, okay? We've chosen to build healthy relationships, and we're encouraging our posterity to do the same. And this is where I come in. I'm Verlyn, your favorite premarital coach, and the auntie you didn't know you needed. And my goal is to help support 1 million women in being and staying happily married. This is so important because from my experience and the experiences of others from down through the decades, most of us go into marriages and relationships with this romanticized idea instead of the understanding of the nuts and the bolts and the effort it takes to sustain healthy relationships, healthy and happy marriages. And that's my job, to give you the tools, not just to get married, but to stay and be happily married, that missing piece, not just going along to get along, not being in a marriage that we constantly gripe and complain about to our friends, which in turn, it makes them feel like, oh my gosh, I never want to get married. All she does is complain about her husband. All he does is complain about his wife. And so that happy piece means a lot because when we are projecting our feelings onto others, let me tell you, they're taking it in. They may not say anything, but they're listening to the complaining and they're saying, man, ain't no way I'm getting married. Again, it's not even worth it. I can stay in my peace. I can do bad by myself, right? And so it's important that we not just advocate for marriage or traditional marriage, but for happy marriages. And I know that's subjective, whatever happy looks like to you, all right? Respectful, peaceful, building marriages, marriages that someone can look at and say, you know what? I like that. Encouraging marriages. We have enough of the other stuff. Part of having these conversations beforehand is so that, especially us ladies, that we can make intelligent or logical decisions and not emotionally driven decisions when it comes to relationships and marriage. That is where we fall short. And so what happens when we make these emotional decisions and then things don't pan out and we get out, and then instead of doing the inner work and saying, what did I miss? What was my part? Instead of taking accountability, we just blame the other person. He did this, he did that, he was wrong. And then all of a sudden, all men are this, all men are that. Marriage is this. We have this negative output because we did not do the work, the inner work within ourselves to say, okay, I need to work on my poor decision making skills. All right, I was selfish. I didn't think about that before I got married. Again, accountability. Why did my marriage fail? Let me look at myself. And when you get yourself together and you get yourself healed and you get yourself in a proper headspace, you don't have to feel like, oh, marriage is horrible. No, you can look and say, this is why this happened because I did this. And the next time I'll choose better. I'm divorced, but I did not come out of the divorce saying, I'm never going to get married again. Men are awful, husbands, this. No, after a while, I took accountability. All right. And I did the work and I understood that it was me. It was him. It was not the institution of marriage that was the problem. All right. We have to see the problem for the problem and stop blaming the other person or the institution. All right. Back to this thing about marriage being slavery and the whole idea that men don't need women and that women don't need men and all of this relationship, marriage, business stuff has no value to either party. Rethink that. Since when do the men not need women and women not need men? Since when does marriage have no value? We have to think, how is that implanted in our mind? Sure, we may have gone through a bad marriage or a bad divorce, but do we really think that those are valid points? Do we really think that that's truth? Or have we not done the inner work again? I'll say this, I'm happily married now. I've been previously divorced. I'm here to tell you, don't make decisions based on your past if you haven't done the real work, all right? I'm not here to tell you what you should or should not do. What I'm here to say is most people want companionship, that most people want to be loved. Most people, it's in us to love someone. We are communal people and we search and we desire. And the truth be told, we need connection. And so even if you hear men say, I don't want to be bothered with women, there's no value, you better believe they have male friends. Women, I don't need no man. They got some women friends. Why? Because in the core of who we are, we want connection. We want and need and value some type of connection, but because we've been hurt, betrayed, we want to reject the very thing that we need. So when I hear people saying, I don't need a man or a relationship, it makes me wonder, are they saying this again because of hurt? Because they're speaking from unhealed places? Are they regurgitating what they're hearing out here in the internet streets? Maybe because they feel like there is no genuine hope. But instead of embracing that, focus on what it is you really want. Don't allow what you hear to push you to reject all possibilities of happiness, to reject all possibility of being in a real relationship where you have genuine connection and a happy marriage. When you say you don't want something and when you reject it and you push it away, it comes off as a sign of strength that you have made a conscious decision, right? Because some people don't want to look weak and admit the truth that, yes, I desire companionship, but I feel like it can't happen for me now for whatever reason. That's what we need to be saying. Your authentic truth, not what we're hearing these people say. And let me explain this. Those feelings of wanting something but feeling like you can't have it, and then saying, well, shoot, I don't want it anyway. That's an entirely different situation, right? When you really want something and you feel it's not within your grasp, that's when you have to take a deeper and a different look and ask yourself, where is this coming from? It's a scarcity mindset. It's a, I can't really have what I deeply desire. It's a I don't want to get hurt again. All right. All of these, like I said, require some inner work. That's another podcast for another day. I'm just going to stick to the subject. Okay. Okay. These days, marriage is getting this bad rap. Okay. Especially online. And what's funny about it, I hear all this rhetoric online against marriage and these awful things that are happening. But in my real life, I don't see this. Like, this is not my life on a regular basis. I have experienced friends that have separated and divorced. I've been divorced myself, as I've already said. However, what I'm saying is this is not the normal experience. My normal experience is I have friends that are happily married. I've been to a couple of weddings recently. People are still getting married, even in our culture. I've experienced way more happy and healthy marriages in my circle than what I see that's going on out here. And I see the benefit to both spouses. All right. I see it with my own eyes. This is something I'm living. And I see I have married friends who vacation every year. They enjoy meals out now and then. They're together. They're buying homes. They're starting business. I promise you, there are a lot of positive things going on in marriage. And my friends are not sitting around griping about marriage being slavery. Of course, we're all flawed. Therefore, the marriage is not perfect. There are no perfect people. However, two imperfect people, I'm a witness, can build a life together. It's not about being perfect. You can be flawed, but you can be perfect for each other and you can help build together. That is what I see in my circle. And that's what my circle sees in their circle. And so this whole thing about all this negativity is going on everywhere, it's not true. As a matter of fact, yesterday my husband and I had to get all new tires put on my truck. And so you can imagine that that was quite a wait. So the guy says, you can go to IHOP. So we go to the IHOP restaurant and it was in the middle of the day around noonish. And so my husband and I have this running joke whenever we're out. We see all these people. We're like, these people don't have jobs. They're not working anywhere. What are they doing out in the middle of the day? Right. And clearly we're out too. Here's the thing that we both noticed. Like we looked around. There were so many couples in that IHOP restaurant. It was 80% full. And most of the couples we saw, and let me give a disclaimer. Of course, we don't know if they were actually couples or actually married. But what I'm saying is this. There were so many tables filled with a man and a woman, couples that look like us. And judging from the interaction, we could tell by the laughter, the chatting, the touches that most of them were couples. They weren't cousins. They weren't siblings. Hopefully they weren't coworkers, but they looked like genuine, happy couples, older couples, middle age and young, all around this IHOP in the middle of the day, enjoying meals. Some of them walked by our tables and said hello. We said hello to some of them. It was a beautiful sight. It was not something that you would hear about on social media. Why? All you hear about is the fighting and the fussing and the we don't like each other and there's no value. But what we saw yesterday was an IHOP restaurant, 80% full with what looked like happy couples enjoying a meal in the middle of the day. We tried to count without looking obvious, and I think we got somewhere up to close to 30 couples at tables. Some of them had younger children, some of them no children. But I'm telling you, it was way more couples than it would be considered siblings or cousins, because you can judge, right? Just like someone could look at us the way we were interacting and they knew we were not cousins and we were not siblings. We looked like a spouse. I'm saying all this to say that even though we hear all of this negativity in the internet streets, don't believe the hype. Marriage is still honorable. Marriage is still a goal. Marriage is still a desire, and it's a good thing to want. It's okay to want to be loved. It's okay to want to love someone. It's okay to want to have a connection and build a life with the person that you love, please don't be discouraged by what you hear and by what you see online. It's probably not even the majority of what you see in your real life. Online, entertainment, media, all of that. It's about getting views. And the more negative things, the more drama, the more views. The more you bring up the horror stories about who cheated on who and who beat up who, the better your chance of getting more views. When someone sits and says, "Oh boy, we're so happy. We took a vacation. I love him so much. I love her so much. And oh, we went to lunch at IHOP because we had to get our tires replaced." Who's clicking on that? No, the clickbait comes when you show the drama, when you show the combative, when you say, "I don't need him and I don't need her." That's where you get the click. That's where the money is. Don't believe the hype. Go with what you genuinely want. Be your authentic self. And if that looks like being loved, please stop listening to what's out here, the buzz. Look at your real life. Do you know happy couples? You've got to. I know I do. I am not sitting here in judgment, nor am I sitting here saying everybody should be married and everybody has to be married and that it's the best life for everyone. I think that's pretty much covered. I never have to say that, all right? What I'm saying is we should all be able to make a choice based on our own truth and not by the influence of other people who are unhealed or unknowledgeable. That's what I said. We have to determine our own thoughts and our own feelings as it relates to marriage. I didn't grow up in a home where I saw a healthy marriage. My parents were married, but they were separated probably before I turned 5. And so the only examples I saw of healthy marriages were in my church and maybe a few in my neighborhood, like some of my friends' grandparents. But I didn't dog the institution of marriage. I still wanted to be married. I still knew that there was an experience out there, even though it wasn't in my home. And I wanted my mom to be happily married. I wanted my mother to be loved by a good man. Sometimes we take what we see or the experience of someone else that's negative and we put that thought on us or we embrace that as our truth, but we don't have to do that. It's not necessarily so. You can experience love even if your parents did not. I would think that whoever you are, you would be able to look around somewhere in your circle and find some genuine, happily married people, some genuine relationships where the love and the care and the respect is reciprocal. But if you're looking in the media, if you're looking on TV and cable and the whole entertainment industry, period, you will be led to believe that it doesn't exist, that marriage is slavery and that don't do it. Let's face it. All the movies tell you, all the storylines point to the same thing. He cheats, he beats, she's oppressed. I mean, if you sat and absorbed that constantly, I could see why your mind would be warped. Anybody's mind would be warped because we don't understand that that is entertainment. That is a business. That is a script that was written. Those people are getting paid to pretend. That is not real life. Look at real life. Do you see anything in your real life that looks like or mirrors what you see on the internet? I do not. And if I do, and when I have seen it, it's been very little compared to the grand scheme of things in my circle, okay? I'll close by saying this. If you want to be loved, if you want to love someone, if you want to be happily married, and that's a real goal, that is a good thing. It's a noble goal. Don't let anyone talk you out of it. Don't let anyone's negative experiences or unhealed opinions shape yours. Lots of times we can't even think our own thoughts. Why? Because we're too busy regurgitating the thoughts of others. That should not be the case. It's okay to want a happy, healthy marriage. I want that for you too. And that's why I do what I do to help prepare women to be and stay happily married and to help women get their confidence back so they can get approached to even get to the dating phase to get married. Okay. Thank you for joining me. please make sure you hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and share this out with 3 or 4 of your friends. Visit my website at verlyntarleton.com and pick up your freebies. That's Verlyn Tarleton, V as in Victor, ERLYNTARLTON.com. In the meantime, may you experience extraordinary love.